All right, we are live and welcome back to another episode of the Manny Wolf Show, formerly known as the Quarantine All-Stars Masterclass. And originally the idea was I wanted to bring you the best on house arrest, but it's just getting too bleak, man. You know? And I want this to continue on beyond that anyway. So it's the Manny Wolf Show now. And I am genuinely excited to have my friend, my mentor, Mark Lack on the program with us today. Not an easy man to get, by the way. So, how are you, brother?
I'm good, dude. Blessed, very blessed.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the power of a personal brand. Normally, what I kind of do with these is I want to give people some sort of tangible takeaway. But I think with you, an explanation of why we might want to focus on our personal brand versus just being a coach, a service provider, whatever it is, and focusing on our product or our service. In the times that we've talked before, you have a way of articulating it that I think people would really benefit from. So why should we care about a personal brand?
There's a lot of reasons. First off, I'll say everybody has a personal brand. You are using it one way or the other. It's basically how people perceive you, how people judge you, how people talk about you behind your back. Mm-hmm. If you have a 9-to-5 job and you're looking to get a promotion, or if you're looking to go get a new job, it's what your hiring manager is gonna see about you on the internet. I want to make sure we're not frozen real quick here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Good on my end.
Can you still hear me?
Good on my end.
Cool. It just froze for a second on my end. So everybody has a personal brand. It's important that you understand, if you reach out to me and say you want to hire me, or you want to work with me, or whatever, I go and immediately look at you on social media, or I go to your company, I go to your website or your non-existing website, or I go to your LinkedIn profile, or I go and I find you on Google or something. Like what am I going to find? What are people going to say about you behind your back, positive or negative? Mm-hmm. What is your brand online? And it may be your business brand, or it may be what we're talking about here, which is your personal brand. How are people perceiving you? How could they jump to conclusions about you based on what they see? Are you posting stuff that's leading you in the direction of people giving you what you want? That's the best way to put it. Like I get messages all the time with people wanting to give me money. I get people reaching out to me all the time with people wanting to have me on their show or speak at their events. And that was a vision that I had. I didn't start like that by any means, but I said, how can I leverage my personal brand, just like you can leverage yours, so that I can get more of what I want and position myself in a way where people go, this guy seems like he can help me with my business. This guy seems like he has value for my company. This guy seems like somebody we want to have speak at our event. And so you just got to think, okay, if I already have a personal brand, I'm just maybe not leveraging it and using it properly. The way I look at it also as an analogy or a comparison would be like your cell phone, right? We all have, most of us, I mean, I think about 4 billion people have a smartphone. And so billions and billions of people have smartphones, meaning they have access to the internet, access to a camera, access to social media apps, pretty much everything that you're either already paying for, and the rest of it's free, and access to all the information that's on that device as well. The only difference is there's people out there, this thing takes up their life in a negative way. They're addicted to video games, apps, they're wasting their time watching shows and consuming other people's content, advertisements, and products. You have to learn how to use this tool right here to create value, to create content, to sell products and services that are yours or that are somebody else's. You can create your own affiliate products. You can, sell products on Shopify or Amazon. And so the thing that I found is, like, if you already have a personal brand and you already have a smartphone, but you're not making money from those things, and you're not moving towards the achievement of your ultimate life and your goals and your financial situation that you want to be in for yourself and for your family, then you really need to learn the knowledge, because as crazy as it sounds, you already have the two biggest things. You
Right.
have a personal brand and you have a smartphone. You
Yeah.
just don't know. What we're going to dive in on here is kind of like the first, I guess, ABCs, the 1, 2, 3 steps of what you can do to start using your personal brand and using the phone that you use and touch probably 1,000 times a day. I think studies show that the average person touches their phone over 2,000 times a day. So what if every time you were touching your phone, it had a chance to make you some money? What if every time you were touching your phone, it gave you a chance to impact people's lives and you were using it to create value in the world? Because let's be honest, that's how you're going to make money. You create value and you solve problems. And your personal brand can be positioned in a way where people perceive you as a massive value add and people perceive you as somebody who can solve problems at scale. And that's what's cool about the internet is like I call it scaling trust and rapport. You probably have 5 people or 10 people who, ride or die. They trust you. They would give you money if you started a company or had an idea or got into a tough spot, or if you asked them to contribute money to a charity that you were a part of. You probably have 5 to 10 people you can think of. And those are the people who probably have the most trust and rapport with you. They have the best relationship with you. It's probably your family, your best friend, your significant other, your business partner. But it doesn't really get off of 5, maybe 10, 10 people. Sure. But what I will say is if you could learn how to scale the same trust and rapport that you have with those people, but make it 50,000 people because of the internet, then you start to have a lot of leverage and a lot of power. And for me, that's what I realized was like, I could use the internet. Like right now, there's maybe, a couple hundred people who will end up watching this, maybe a couple thousand people, who knows? That's a lot of people when it's just you and me chatting. Yeah. This could reach thousands of people. Right. And so that's scalability. I can have one conversation with you and it could reach thousands. I could film one video and it could reach millions of people. And so, we'll dive into this, but I think it's important that people understand, like, you already have the 2 biggest assets, your personal brand and a smartphone and access to the internet. It's just most people I see, it's so sad. They don't have the life they want, the money they want, the financial situation, the brand, whatever it is, the impact, the contribution. Right. And I'm like, you have the tools sitting right in front of you. You just don't have the knowledge. And so for me, I'm really passionate about learning it myself so that I can do it all. But then I'm not a selfish person who like doesn't want to share the knowledge. As I made millions of dollars, my friends and my family and everybody else kind of comes out of the woodwork. What are you doing? How are you doing this? And so, I'm very blessed to be able to share with people. And to be honest, the only way to ever truly achieve mastery in anything is to teach it. You have to learn it, you have to do it, and then you have to teach it. And I know so many people who've learned a skill set, become so good at doing the skill set, they get paid a lot of money. But truly the only way to be a master of anything is to also teach it. So learn, do, and teach. And so for me, teaching also makes me better at what I do. And it also reminds me, I make the joke, and you maybe heard it too. It's like, I forgot more than you'll ever know. Right. And so it's like, for me to teach, it reminds me of all the things that I need to be doing. Because in life and business, it's not always there's some new secret that you don't know about. It's really just, it's doing the basics more consistently and better than anybody else. And so learning, doing, and teaching reminds me of all the things that I need to be doing in my own life and my business. So, I'm grateful to be able to teach people and use interviews like this as a platform to do that.
Absolutely. I really think it's important what you said early on in this about we have a personal brand, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, in a sense, right? I mean, there's no way around it because it's what people say, think, and feel about you sort of behind your back.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about how to, if you wanted to, how could you make, say, a banana with a smiley face reach 100,000 people?
Yeah. One of my things that I always like to talk about is, if you have a product and a service, I say this when I speak on stages because it's a really easy way to get people immediately like engaged. I go up on stage and I say, raise your hand if you have a product and a service that is good for people. It really makes a difference in their life. Right. Everybody's hand goes up. Mm-hmm. And I say, and would you make, this is the part, would you make a lot more money and impact a lot more people if you could just get your product and service to be known by a lot more of those individuals who could buy it and benefit? And of course, everybody's hand goes up. And so it makes me crazy when I realize, like, you're telling me your problem is that you don't know how to get in front of more people.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I show people how incredibly easy it is to reach people. Because you just told me that if you've got a good product and service, it's good for people, and you'd make a lot more money and impact a lot more people if you could get it in front of more people. I go, you want me to show you how easy it is to get it in front of people? So, you know, Manny was teeing me up here for something that I really have done. And it's funny because I made it to be intended funny. So I filmed this advertisement. It's one of my highest converting, most profitable ads ever. And so I'm in the kitchen and I say, you know, would you make more money? Would you impact more people if you could just reach 100,000 people in the next 24 hours, 1 million people in the next week? Right. And of course, well, check this out. I'm going to do it with a banana. So I'm in my kitchen and this ad is super good. It still makes me money today after 2 years. and I get this banana in my kitchen and I draw a smiley face on it and I go outside to my fountain in my backyard and I say, I'm going to film this banana. I'm going to throw it in my fountain, and that's going to be a video that's going to get over 100,000 people to watch it in less than 24 hours. So I filmed this video of a banana. You can go look on Facebook. It's called Jimmy the Banana. Jimmy the Banana. Yeah. And that's a Facebook page. Type in Jimmy the Banana and it'll come up as a Facebook page. You can watch the video. It has 113,000 views, and it got those views in 24 hours. 113,000 views. You've probably never had 113,000 views on a video of yours, let alone within 24 hours, and this is a freaking banana. And so it just proves the point that, like, you're telling me your excuse right now for not having the impact and the income and the influence you want is reaching more people. Really, that's going to be the excuse we're using here? Let me get 100,000 views on a banana in 24 hours before you even, like, you know, have one full day. I'll reach 100,000 people with a banana. So imagine if you got 100,000 people to hear your charity and how your mission for solving world hunger or helping starving children is, or imagine if people heard how good your product was and how much better it was than the competition. Imagine if you could get 100,000 people a day to hear your product, your service, your mission statement, and what you're trying to do in the world. You're probably going to get a lot more followers, a lot more advocates, a lot more people to know you, like you, trust you, a lot more opportunities, a lot more sales. And so, you know, it creates a tidal wave of inbound marketing. You get a lot of people reaching out to you saying, I saw that video, I saw your ad, I saw that interview you did. And you can do this with everything. It doesn't have to be advertisements. The banana was not an advertisement. It was me paying money to promote a video of anything I wanted. It happened to be a banana, just to prove the point that you can put anything you want on the internet and pay money to put it in front of people. It can be an ad, it can be an interview, it could be anything you want. It could be a banana. Yeah. And so, you know, it's so incredibly easy to reach people. And if you're sitting here thinking, what the heck? I could get 100,000 people to watch anything I want in 24 hours. You could get millions of people to watch anything you want in 24 hours, either because it goes viral or because you have the budget to promote it and you have a reason to justify why reaching that many people to make money or not make money. I didn't make money off of the banana directly. Nobody actually went there and then was like, I'm going to buy a banana smoothie recipe. Like, I didn't do that. I could have drove traffic to a Shopify page to buy banana t-shirts and, you know, banana smoothie recipes and banana bread, granola bars, and banana cereal. I could have done that. But what I've actually done is I've been able to attribute, not down to the penny, but over a couple $1 million. In the last 2 years, I've made a couple $1 million off of a banana video. So think about that. Think about that. It's not the banana video that made me millions of dollars. It's me using the banana video as an example to build confidence in you that this guy got a video of a banana, 100,000 views in 24 hours, 113,000 views to be exact, in 24 hours. So the example of the banana instilled so much confidence in all the 100,000 people that have heard that on my webinar, on a presentation on stage, in this interview. And that has led to people buying my programs. And so that banana video actually has made me millions of dollars, which is pretty cool. So think about, how could you create an example where the example doesn't make you money, but the example becomes an example within your marketing that creates millions of dollars? That's what I did.
You do this every time I talk to you. You do that meta thing. So one of the questions that I get a lot, and that I'd love to hear the answer straight from you, is about this idea. You just referred to it. You said the banana didn't make you money like directly, but it made you.
I'm writing this down on a sticky note.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have like an epic article that's gonna be like how this guy made over $2 million from a banana. I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be like an epic article. I'm gonna write that down.
It's gonna be a killer one too. But talk to me a little bit about this concept of indirect ROI and the power of it, because I think that everybody who's looking to make money online is they're sort of herded into that idea that everything has to have a direct trackable ROI immediately. I was talking with Dennis Yu last week, and he brought that up too.
That's the employee conditioned societal mindset of, if I do this work, then I get paid within the hour. Like, so society's conditioned that within us that like, well, Manny, I just worked a full day. Where's my paycheck?
Yeah.
And so the problem is that society has conditioned us to think that, well, what's your hourly rate? What's your annual salary? What's your weekly? What's your monthly check? And so the problem with that is it starts to condition people to think that there's a direct input and an immediate direct output. If I work 7 hours, I make $20 an hour times that amount. And so you're right. It conditions people. And the problem is that then you start to work with people and they think like, this is the messed up part right here, Manny, is they go, well, I want to get paid before I do the work.
Oh, God.
In what crazy world? Now, don't get me wrong. There are scenarios where you get paid first before the work happens, but I'm just saying it's different if I come in and I say it's going to cost you $15,000, $20,000 for me to help you for this amount of time. That's different because I don't need the $15,000 or $20,000. You're asking for my help, and I know that I can help you. Versus an employee who would come into a company, the company does not need the employee. They're dispensable. You can go and find a new employee. I can fire you immediately and just go hire another person like you. And they say, well, what's my paycheck going to be? And so for me, I think people start to think that like there's this direct correlation. Like if I work this many hours, I should get this. It's not even that. Get the point. It's not even about the result they create. It's about how much time I worked. Well, I worked really hard on this. I don't give a rat's ass. You didn't even get me one sale. You didn't produce anything for the company. That didn't help us at all. And then it also starts to get people to think, so I worked 40 hours this week or 50 hours this week. Yeah, but you still broke. You ain't got money. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, my wife and I were just talking about this. I was like, I can work 2 or 3 hours in a day and it can be $30,000, $40,000 because it was a high income, high impact activity. I could do one webinar that an affiliate filled up for me with 1,000 or 2,000 people on it and make $100,000 in 2 hours and be like, I'm good. I only need, like, if I know, like, you know, Thursday, I'm doing a big webinar at 5 p.m.
Right.
Like, so between the hours of 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., I'll make $100,000. I'm good. Like, I don't need to do that much during that day. I'll still be productive and I'm still going to work. But you get my point? Like, I know that on those 2.5 hours, I'm going to make about $100,000. So like, that's the most productive 2.5 hours I can think of. And so you just got to think like, it's not about the time that you're putting in, because people watching this might be like, oh my God, I work my whole year and don't make $100,000.
Right.
This guy's going to make $100,000 in 2.5 hours. I have to split it 50-50, boo-hoo. I have to give the affiliate half of that. But you guys get my point. It's like, it's not about how many hours you work. It's about the effort, the results, the outcome. Like Bill Gates makes like $1 million a minute or some crazy, whatever the math really is. And so, you know, you got to stop thinking that the amount of hours you put into something has any correlation to how much you should get paid. It's all about the result. And that's what's crazy is like, you know, I've helped people in a single day. Back when I used to do $10,000 VIP days, I had a company that I helped go from, it was about $50,000 a month to over $2 million a month. And what it did was it made me think, wow, I am so stupid for not taking a percentage of the growth and charging $10,000 for the day. Most people would be like, $10,000 for the day, that's great. But I would have been smarter to waive the 10 grand or take half of that and do it for $5 grand and take a 10% upside with a cap of 100 grand. So it's like, give me 10% of what you make up until I made 100 grand.
Yeah.
Most people, I get those messages from people all the time. People watching this are probably going to hit me up and be like, dude, help me grow my whole business to 10 million. I'll give you half of it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, though. And I get those people as well. And then I have to do a good job judging, like, what companies should I gamble on? So this all ties back to the point of, I don't know when I work with somebody if they're going to go and become the next $100 million thing, or if they're going to just make an extra 100 grand. Right. And the person who's going to make an extra couple $100 grand, I definitely want to charge a fee to. And the person who's going to go make 100 million, I'd much rather take equity in the company. But it's hard to know the difference because I don't know what you're going to be capable of doing. And back to the point, you just don't know sometimes, like, what is the results going to end up being? And if you're always charging hourly, you're never gonna get to the next level of your life, of your business. And so that's why, finding a way to get into a performance position where you're getting paid on performance, the results. I would always like for me, I've partnered up with a lot of celebrities, as you know.
Yeah.
And we're helping a lot of celebrities launch their brands nowadays. So I found that I could take my expertise, and instead of having somebody pay me 10, 20, 30, 50, even $100,000, I've had people pay me just to help them with their business for like a couple weeks or whatever it ends up being, right? And that's not straight. That's just like a couple hours throughout every day. And now I'm like, that's so stupid of me. I would rather just partner with a celebrity who has 10 million followers, and we could do $10 million, and I'd rather get 20% of that, but they don't pay me anything, and I do everything with my team. So do you get the point? It's like, it's the same effort and energy for me to be like, oh, I could charge people all day 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand.
Right.
Or I could just go to like one or two celebrities and say, this year I'm going to have these two celebrities and we're going to take it to $10 million. And they already have the customers and the buyers. We just have to build everything. So it's the same effort, it's the same energy. One is money that's in my pocket instantaneously before I've done any work. The other one, I have to do all the work up front and take all the risk up front in hopes that the celebrity promotes, in hopes that the sales come through, in hope that their 10 million customers turn into a 0.001% conversion and whatever hypothetical financial projections we have. So again, I'm on the same journey as all of you. It's like, when the money's there and the money's good and the money's easy and the paychecks are big, and for the first time you see a couple extra zeros, you're going to be like, I'm taking it. But then you get to a point where you realize the real money and the real wealth that gets built is always in the potential performance of upside than it is trading time for dollars. Because no one's going to pay you 50 grand for an hour. But if you made the right strategic investment in a company that took off, you could get $50,000 an hour for the work that you put in. So again, people have this whole mindset of like, I want to get paid for the work I immediately did. And if that's the mindset you have, you're always going to be broke. I partner up with people all the time, as you know, that come to me and they're like, Mark, I want to partner with you. And if it's a partnership on performance, I'm way more likely to say yes than if it's a partnership that involves me paying almost any amount of money up front. Cause I'm like, don't you realize that if we did a bad job, we'll do a couple $100 grand together. If we do a good job, we'll do a couple million together in the first year. Like, why would you charge me 5 or 10 grand up front? Don't you see how stupid that sounds? Like, why don't you eat those costs? Like, I do it all the time when I partner with celebrities. So again, my rant just validates that, like, if you're trading time for dollars, you're going to always be limited in your financial success.
Yeah. And what I see a lot is, even in the like there's this sort of hybrid between an entrepreneur and an hourly worker, right? And that hybrid person calls themselves an entrepreneur. They have a thing they're selling. They're hustling on their own, but yet that mentality that you wouldn't spend a nickel that you couldn't immediately track the return on, it keeps them limited.
Big time. Like when people make an investment, they're like, well, how soon am I going to make my money back?
Right.
When they invest in like $1,000 program or a $2,000 thing, they're like, well, how quick am I going to make my money back? I'm like, man, you got to change that mindset. Like, if you're already thinking, how do I make, will I make my money back in 30 days? I'm like, that mindset's the first thing that needs to change if you want to become successful.
So one of the things that, if I'm being like full disclosure here, since this is an interview, when you first came into my world, it was through exactly what you then taught me that I now teach others, about the boosted content idea. I fit a demographic of one of your audiences. So you started sending me content and I started watching it. And here's the thing that I want to just sort of say publicly that I think is interesting. At first, I was like, yeah, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's obviously got a good videographer, whatever, man. And then little by little, through, I guess, what you call a mirror exposure effect, just by seeing it over and over again, I was like, oh, wait, that one thing that he just said really makes sense. So I start listening a little more. And that starting to listen a little more went all the way up to joining your mastermind.
Yeah.
This is what I want people to understand in terms of what you've taught me, frankly, about the long game and thinking the long game. So tell us a little bit about kind of the psychology of, playing that long game like that.
So first off, what you went through is happening to thousands of people every single month.
Yep.
And that's when I said scale, trust, and rapport automatically. You could take any message, any video, any photo, any experience in your life, past, present, future, and you could find some way to tie it into a piece of content, into an interview, into an Instagram post or a YouTube video or whatever, Facebook. And if enough people see it, because you can pay for them to see it, you can get 100,000 people to watch a banana in a day. Yeah. You can get people to see it. You could just get 5,000 people to see your stuff every day. That's 5,000 people. And over months, over years, the amount of people that you could build trust and rapport with at scale automatically for the same 1 hour a day you put into the effort, it could be reaching that many more people. It's really powerful. It has a snowball effect. But you don't see that the 10 hours you put in directly correlated to making money. You don't
Right.
see that. You don't see that the first 100 hours you put in directly correlates to money. But after a couple years, you look back and you're like, "Whoa, that was the best thing I ever did for my brand." Because it's like you don't know that maybe the first date is going to be the person you marry. Maybe you don't know that maybe the first time you met your friend who became your best friend at a networking event or just randomly through another. You don't know they're going to become your best friend. You maybe don't know that that person you met at the back of the seminar room at that one conference ends up becoming your business partner 5 years from now, and you do millions together or sell your company for 100 million or $1 billion. You just don't know. And so what I can tell you is when you build your personal brand, it's the same thing. You just don't know how many opportunities are going to, come across your table when you build your personal brand. It takes years and years to see it. Yeah. But if you follow the process, if you commit, the results are going to happen. It's like going to the gym. When you go to the gym, you don't instantly get in great shape. But you just know with blind faith, know that if I go to the gym every day for 30 minutes and an hour and I work hard and I follow the habit and I put the intensity in, I'm going to get the results. I'm going to get in shape. It's just a matter of time. So with your personal brand, you're not going to instantly see results, but you're going to get the results eventually. And it might take a couple years and people might call you crazy. But at the end of the day, you'll be the one laughing, living your dream life and, cashing those checks. Plus all the incredible contribution you're going to have if you want to have an amazing impact as well. So wait, just what was the specifics of your question? Because I want to make sure that I answer it for the viewer.
Well, the specifics of the question, I think, was
it how do we walk somebody through the process of like?
No, but I actually want to talk about that now. So just to set the question up right, you've mentioned a lot about this process.
Yeah.
What would you say are the ABCs or the first 3 to 5 steps?
First thing is you got to figure out, I guess, the vision for your life. This is less about your personal brand, but it has a lot to do with it. Because your personal brand is you. It's your essence of who you are. So the first step would be really getting clear on the vision for your life and what you want to achieve. Once you know what you want to achieve, where you want to live, the house you want to have, or the multiple houses you want to have, the summer house, the winter house, the vacation home. Like once you have a vision for your life, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 20 years from now. Figure out what that looks like, put a time frame on it. Say in 10 years from now, I want my life to look like this. In 20 years from now, I want my life to look like this. You don't need to go too much further out than 10 to 20 years. I think those are good time frames because anything past that is just You have no idea. But I would say like 10 years from now, like where do you want to be in 10 years from now? You see, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10, because most people only ever set 1 year goals, and they're wildly big. Well, most people's aren't, but like most people are like, this year I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. Man, you ain't never been in the best shape of your life. What makes you think you're going to get in the best shape of your life? Or like, this year I'm going to make $1 million. I'm like, how much you make right now? 50 grand? You ain't going to jump 20. You ain't going to jump 20x. You ain't going to jump 2,000%. What are you going to win the lottery? And so it's like, why don't you say I'm going to make, my first $1 million year 5 years from now, and work towards it. If it happens sooner, great. Maybe you say I want to make $1 million a month 10 years from now. Like in 10 years from now, I'm going to have my first $1 million month. That's a great goal to have. And so, that was one of my goals. I was like, I want to make $1 million a month. I was able to do it in 7 years. Within, most people never make $1 million in a year. Mine was, I want to make $1 million every single month. I don't make it every single month right now. I'm about to. Next year, we'll make over $1 million a month, every month. So set that goal, get laser focused on what your vision is for your life, your personal life. What does your personal life look like, and your professional life? And then figure out who you need to become, because personal branding is who you are, and you sharing who you are on the internet through the journey of your life, the ups, the downs, your personal life, your professional life, your business, what you're investing in. You want to jump in?
It's on the one hand, I love listening to you talk about this stuff. On the other hand, you trigger so many questions.
I know. There's so much. So it's like, get the vision for your life. Figure out exactly what it looks like. Come up with emotional reasons why you're going to achieve it, more so than just like, I want the watch and I want the house and I want the car and the jet. Like, have emotional reasons, and then get clear on who you need to become. And that's the big one that most people leave out. They just set the vision and the goal, and then they're the same person who's trying to take action towards the goal instead of figuring out who they need to become. Because this is kind of like a life hack. I figured out that one of the reasons why I'm able to manifest, I'll use that term, why I'm able to achieve pretty much every goal I've ever set in my life. And I have a lot more goals. I keep setting new goals as I achieve them. But the reason why I'm able to manifest and achieve my goals is because I know one of the secrets to life is not what I need to do in order to achieve a goal, but instead it's these two things. It's why do I want to achieve the goal, and who do I need to become? Most people just say, I want to figure out how to make money online. And they, version 1.0 of them, just go on the internet and start learning how to make money on the internet. I, on the other hand, know that that's the easiest part of the equation and the least important. Why is it the least important? Because it's already there. The blueprint was already there. It is already there. So if I want it, I can get it. But why don't more people make money online then if the blueprint is is there? Because they miss these two most important parts. They don't have a strong enough compelling reason for why they are absolutely going to achieve it. It's a must. It is a must. We don't achieve our wants, we achieve our must. So they don't have a compelling must. So I come up with a must, and then I figure out, who do I have to become? Do I have to be more confident? Do I have to communicate more articulately? Do I have to learn new ways of creating my day-to-day habits? Do I have to procrastinate less? Do I have to become a better networker? Do I have to overcome fear and objections and being uncomfortable and putting myself on camera? Do I have to practice speaking on stage and learning how to do marketing? What is that? Do I have to learn how to sell people? Oh, I hate selling. That feels so weird. Do I have to learn all these new skill sets? Okay. And who's the person that I need to become in order to do that? Well, I probably have to be like this, and I probably have to be like this. And so for me, why are you going to achieve it and who are you going to become is always more important than what do I need to do to achieve this outcome? Because there's fat people and they know how to get in shape, but they don't do it. And there's broke people who complain about not making money, but I know broke people who are wealthier than me now because they figured something out, right? They had a bigger reason to become successful. And they've been doing it longer. And so it's like, knowing how to do something and what you need to do is part of the equation. I will give you that, but it's probably 20% of the equation. 80% of the equation is why are you going to do it and who do you need to become? And if you have a good reason why you're going to achieve your vision for your life and who you need to become, then how to build your personal brand to be the vehicle to make the money and to create the impact and to share. Here's the best part, to share the journey of Manny 1.0, 2.0, 6.0, 12.0. People are going to be like, dang, I've been following Manny for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was living in his apartment. Then he bought his first dream home. Then he bought some apartment buildings. Then he bought a private jet. He just donated $1 million to charity. He's got 500,000 followers. He just wrote a New York Times bestseller. He just interviewed Tony Robbins. Like, I've been following you, Manny, for 5 years. You went from this guy to this guy to this guy to this guy. Something you're doing is working. And so that's the other cool part about your personal brand is when you just live your best life and document it and add value, you're going to make a lot more money no matter what you do. And your personal brand allows you to pivot into a new career, a new business, a new product, a new service. And that's why I say your personal brand is your most valuable, under-leveraged, underutilized asset you don't even know you have. Because any new career or business or product or service or charity or anything you do in the future, your personal brand goes with you. That's the best part about it. You're always with yourself. So imagine if you just made yourself the best possible version it could be. And instead of just building 10 relationships, 20 relationships, you build 100,000 relationships on the internet, and you got all the right prospects, partners, opportunities, and people to know about you. And they saw your evolution and your journey instead of your destination. And that's the key part. Most people wait to share their journey until they arrive at a destination where they feel confident. Like, oh, now that I've achieved this success, now I can go online. But you got to realize people don't want to arrive at your destination with you because they can't relate, because they're still sitting on their couch in their apartment and you're the jerk who's on the private jet and on the yacht and living your best life. And they're like, and they don't know if you rented it or not. But if they followed your journey for 5 years, then they can see that Steve Jobs really did go from his garage to Apple. You know what I mean? So the journey is what people want to follow. And so regardless of where you're at right now, get over it, start sharing and documenting your journey, because people want to follow you from the couch to the boardroom or whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the shift, the mental shift between what do I have to do to get there and who do I have to become to get there, I don't know if we can say that loud enough. I don't know if we can put that in big enough letters. You know what I mean? I think of like, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel Comics universe, and I think of Ultron, right?
Yeah.
He just kept building better versions of himself. That's what I use with coaching a lot, is like, you got to be prepared to just tear down the old you, which is 100%. The current you, and know that who you are now won't get what you want, or you'd have it already.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's about becoming this new person. I'm so glad you said that, man. And I think that you're a really, really powerful example of that, because you started very, very young, you know, by whatever, you know, objective standard.
I was 23 and I just turned 30. So I've been doing it for 7 years. And
when you started, if memory serves, you didn't have any special leg up, did you?
No.
I mean, and it's important.
My background, right? So I was a failure in school. I failed my way through school, and I was a professional paintball player. So if you think being a failure in school, all throughout school, there wasn't like, but then all of a sudden he hit his growth spurt. No, I was garbage from first grade till college. I went to junior college because I couldn't even get into a university. Like, I had to go to a junior college because I wasn't smart enough and didn't have good enough grades to go from high school to a university.
Right.
So remember, I'm that guy. I didn't have good enough grades to even go to an actual college. I had to go to junior college, which was like right next door to my high school. And it cost like $500 to go. Right. Textbooks were more expensive than the tuition. So yeah, dude, I mean, I definitely didn't have anything. I grew up in a tiny little house in Tustin, you know, very humble beginnings. Like, I come from a family of farmers and construction workers. And and like the ones doing the work, not the ones like who own the farmers, like the ones on the farm doing the manual labor. And then I played professional paintball. So it's not like I even had a sports scholarship or anything. Like I played paintball, the thing that you might think is like a once a year hobby for your child or for kids. That was my sport. So like, no, I didn't have anything. What I had was a chip on my shoulder because everybody thought I was the stupid kid. What I had was drive inside of me to prove everybody wrong. What I had was, you know, light energy, wanting to be the best version of myself, but also dark energies like Michael Jordan, where I'm like, oh, I'm the last guy picked on the team. I'm the dumb guy. I'm the one who everybody thinks is the number one to fail. Okay, watch. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna be the guy that.
I think that's a really interesting thing too, because is like you familiar with the term spiritual bypassing?
I'm familiar. Yeah.
There's almost this thing called like entrepreneurial bypassing, right? Where you have to lay out this backstory that looks a certain way. And one of the things that is sort of a little bit taboo is this idea that, like, I remember Tony Robbins saying once, use the pain of your life to sculpt your soul. Right. And so for me, I took that as like, we won't go into my background too much, but it sucked. It was hard. It was crappy. And I remember just using it like I will show you all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I will show every one of you. Like, and there was a long period in time where I just had to know that there was something in me despite all external reflection. So I'd like to hear, like, you can start out easily with that sort of pissed off fire, right? But then as things start to manifest things, did you find times where it was not as easy to access that? Well, like, what did it look like to sustain that drive? That's what I'm curious about.
I think it's raising your standards. For me, I can always tap back into that modality of like being pissed and like and trigger myself, which I think is part of the thing. Is like, I think most people, they get so easily externally triggered from outside influences, outside people, outside social media posts, outside news, outside politicians. Like people are so easily influenced by external factors. For me, I found it to be really valuable to get numb to external factors, and to become really good at triggering myself. And so I find most people are, and at the end of the day, what we could say if we wanted to really get down to it was nothing externally is actually triggering you. You're letting it trigger you. So you actually are really good at triggering yourself. But I'll say it this way instead. You're so unaware of yourself being triggered that you don't know how to control your triggers. Therefore, I would say other people are influencing and triggering you. You're not even aware that you're triggering yourself. Because no one can trigger you. You just let them trigger you.
Right.
So if I was going to go down that, right. But but what I found is I don't let external things trigger me 99.999% of the time. I'm not a robot. I'm still a human. You know, I still feel emotions, and external stimuli still can influence me and trigger me. But it's very, 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 very in my control. And I'm so aware of it. And I've set up like a moat around my brain and my emotions. I have like a million troops that guard my brain and my emotions. And like, I have so many filters and filters and filters that before I let something emotionally get into my body, or before I let it manifest and metabolize, I can maybe it got through somehow and I felt it for a second and I go, oh, I feel triggered. And then I can really quickly go like, ooh, and maybe it got like, it went through my armor just a little bit and I felt it, and I felt it, and I got like a little drop of blood and I'm like, oh, somehow that triggered me.
Right.
And then I'm able to like get rid of it, like through breath and through other things. I can quickly dissolve the emotional state and reframe it and release it. So for me, that's a huge one. I think, you know, most people are just so easily triggered that they don't actually have control over their life. Because what I found is like, if you don't have control over your emotional state throughout the day and you're not constantly checking in with yourself, you're not going to achieve your goals as fast as you could, You're not going to live in the emotional states that you want to, like happiness and gratitude and love and connection, like all the best emotional states that you strive for. The reason you've even set your goals is because you think when you achieve it, it's going to give you an emotional state. Man, you can give yourself that emotional state right now.
Like now.
Oh, when I achieve that goal, I'll feel significant. You might not if you don't practice feeling significant now.
That's
you know, like, oh, when I find this new person, I'll feel loved. You ain't going to feel loved if you don't love yourself and love the world right now. And so for me, I'm just like so aware that anytime I want something, I ask myself, like, I don't really want that thing, that material thing, or that external thing. Like, I want an emotional state to be the end, the means to an, everything is like a means to an end. And so I'm like, I really just want the means to an end, which is feeling respected, feeling significant, feeling loved, feeling happy, feeling proud, feeling confident. Can I just think of a memory from a past reference to let myself feel that way right now? Can I just ask myself powerful questions to feel that way? Can I just message a friend or a loved one and feel that way right now? Yeah. So I don't need to feel bad about that thing, or I don't need to achieve that thing for those reasons, or I don't. And so I just think a lot of people's lives would be better if they had a higher level of awareness about how triggered they are being from external things, especially right now during a pandemic. It's like, man, you see people's true colors with the stuff they're posting online right now. You know, is what it is. But like I said, when you asked me before we went live, you're like, how you doing, man? I was like, better than ever. I was like, I'm blessed. And it's because I'm in control. I'm in control. You know what I mean? And the things that I'm not in control of, great. I mean, you know, I almost died not too long ago from sepsis, which is a rare infection in your bloodstream, which, you know, the level that I had kills you in 48 hours. It kills 1 out of 4 young, healthy people. And so I am blessed to have been alive from that. But that taught me so much. That gave me so much. That gave me so many lessons and gifts. And it just taught me so much about how easily you can lose everything, and how in control you are, but how not in control you are, and how God and the universe, you know, can just take everything from you. And it could say, we want you to come home sooner than you were expecting. And so, you know, for me, I just know it's like what I can control is how I feel and how I look at the world. There's a lot of things that you can't control, but to get upset about things you can't control, like for me, like when I was dying, I just came to terms. I was like, if I'm going to die, then I'm like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be incredible. I was like, I want to make sure that if I'm going to die, I make sure that people that love me, you know, that they're not going to be like crushed. I want to make sure they know that I'm dying, like, and I feel like I already lived the best life I could have. And that if I'm dying right now in the hospital, that it's like the best ever. Like I'm so happy that like God and the universe wants my soul and my energy, spirit back out in the universe. And I'm not going to be able to be in this skin suit anymore. And all my problems go away. Right. Like I just go back out into the universe. So I was like, if this is the case, then I found a way to reframe it. And I was like, man, this is going to be incredible. Like, and I found a positive spin on it. Because that's the thing, is like things you can't control, you can still control what it means to you. You know, people who, there's so many incredible, I love studying stories of people who've lived through adversity that I can't even fathom. And just hearing how like people who go through adversity and keep their victim mentality with them for the rest of their life, live a terrible life. And they use that story about being a victim and adversity they went through to hold them back forever. And then there's the people who like survived the Holocaust and crazy things. And you hear they turn that into the most amazing story about why they're so lucky and how that experience turned them into the person they are today and how they're so grateful to have gone through that. And you're like, two people, same experience. One person's life is over. The other person's life is better than it could have ever been. And so it just shows you that like the human experience is so unique. The one thing that we can control is how we choose to, you know, look at things. And I don't care if I'm labeled a clinical psychopath, if I'm always happy and my life is great and incredible. And like I said, I mean, it's not like I have my ups and my downs and I have my days. And I feel emotional states that are not the ones that I want to feel. But I find a way to tap back in. So, you know, different tangent than personal branding. But like at the end of the day, nobody's going to want to follow you and engage with you and buy from you if you have low self-awareness. Gary Vaynerchuk, who arguably has one of the biggest personal brands in the education space, he always said self-awareness is one of the best things any human could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not going to have a very big personal brand if your self-awareness and your emotional state's out of whack and you're not in control of it. So it was a worthy tangent on life.
I think it's an important tangent too. I'm not even sure it's that much of a tangent for two reasons. One is people aren't going to want to connect with a personal brand that isn't aspirational, right? I mean, if I can watch you, like even in the time that I've known you, you've gone from one level of accomplishment of your desires to a much, much higher level. And it's only been like 2.5 years or something, 3 years. Yeah, to a much, much higher level. And I just want to kind of, I think that the thing that I want people to know is that I've spent time with you. This isn't our first chat. At the risk of sort of glad handing you at the end of the interview, you exemplify these things every time we connect. It's really like, this isn't just theater for the interview. Do you know what I mean?
Because this is you and me at the coffee shop. And if it was any other conversation besides this, that'd be the last time we had coffee. Exactly. Like and I can tell people that, like I can say that authentically because that's me living my authentic self. Like these are the only conversations I have. And if these are not the conversations that you have consistently with your friends, your family, your coaches, your mentors, whoever it is that you have in your, the old saying, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
Right.
Well, these are the only conversations that I have. I talk about other things too, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're not having conversations that are inspiring, that are uplifting, that are motivating, that makes you be like, damn, every time I hang out with my friends, I want to take notes, or I'm learning something, or I'm like, these are great reminders. These are great conversations. So this is definitely far from anything but us being our authentic selves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's worth saying that to the public, you know, because there's so much posturing and positioning and everything. And
I think you can tell. I think at the end of the day, I think you could tell. Like that's why, I teach broad content and niche content. Niche content is I'm the expert. Listen to me. I'm so smart. I'm so successful. You should pay me. And then the other broad content is I'm a human. Here's what I like. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I believe. Here's what I value. Here's what I'm eating. Here's where I'm traveling. Here's who I'm hanging with. Here's the book I'm reading. And that's why I think you can decipher through the personal brands that are posturing. And although I don't agree with everything Gary Vaynerchuk says, I got nothing but love and respect for that guy. He's done an amazing job in so many regards with his business and his personal brand. And he does such a good job with his broad content. He very rarely ever talks about his expertise.
His niche content,
He just talks about his broad content. And that's what I admire about Gary is he's just very authentic. He's who he is. He's always going to be Gary. There's other people out there. We don't need to name names. And you can just tell they don't really, I don't know if they're really showing you who they really are. And for me, I started the first probably 4 years of my career, maybe even 5, trying to be somebody that I thought people wanted me to be. Trying to be, I'm telling people like, this is me being myself, but I used to try to be myself in a way that leaned in to the qualities and the attributions and the language patterns I thought people wanted me to sound like and look like. Now I'm just I'm just me now. As I step more into just, and you can watch my videos from a couple years ago versus my videos today. You're like, oh, one guy is trying to be the guy, and then this guy is just I just am myself. Who's the guy? You know what I mean? It's like I was trying to be, and now I just am. That was the difference.
Well, I know we're at about an hour now, and I could, discuss and pick your brain for much, much longer, of course. But I want to thank you so much for your time, for your authenticity and your generosity, Mark. I guess that the thing that I want people to understand, having watched this, is that you're always your personal brand, no matter what. If for some reason the term personal brand maybe strikes you wrong, I would reframe that.
Perfect.
Because wouldn't you agree that social media is an unprecedented opportunity? I mean, it is just a gobsmacking opportunity.
Yeah. Your personal brand is the impression you make on people when they see you first, and the impression that they make on you when they feel like they know you. So think about that. It's like what is the first impression they have? And then what is the impression they have after they've actually gotten to know you? Like, what would your friends say about you behind your back, right? That's your personal brand. What would I say about you if I just met you for the very first time, but not in the way that you tried to get me to see you because you put on, because you're like, oh, it's my job interview, let me be my best. But like, I looked you up on the internet. What do I see? So it's like, and you're like, oh, you might find that video of me doing a keg stand. And it's like, that might be the first video you see. So it's like, you know, what are people perceiving you as? Just think about your personal brand as that. Like, how are people judging you, perceiving you, talking about you? So the terminology personal brand is just a word, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, man, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I know that everybody who connects with this is going to be better off for having done it.
Yeah. My final advice for people would be, just so you have like an action step, would be, you know, start forcing yourself to put out more content. Don't look at yourself as an expert. We don't need more fake gurus and experts. We need you, the authentic version of you, wherever you are in your journey. Chapter 1 or chapter 12, nobody cares. They want to follow your journey, and it might have one person following it, and eventually you'll have 1,000, and you'll have however many you want. If you want to reach millions of people, you can. It's easy. So just get over the fact that you're going to have people saying negative things. Who cares? Don't get triggered by external stimuli. Stick to the vision. Stick to the mission. You know, one of my sayings is, stop having your confidence and certainty come from a place of, you know, your achievements. And instead, try to have your confidence and your certainty come from a place of your purpose and your mission. So most people are like, oh, I can't put my personal brand online. I haven't achieved anything yet. That means you're using your achievements as a benchmark to determine if you're going to be confident to put content online. Don't do that. Have your mission, and your purpose. Like Martin Luther King, I have a dream. He doesn't necessarily have anything besides a dream, but everybody got behind him. So think about it. It's like, you know, it's like you just got to have a mission and a vision that's so compelling, people want to follow you. And even then, if you don't, that's okay. That doesn't mean I'll start when I have a mission and a purpose and a vision. You start now and you figure it out as you go, but start putting out content. One of the best things you can do is look at yourself as a broker. Look at yourself as a facilitator. Look at yourself as a connector. I'm going to read a book. Right here, I'm going to read a book, and then I'm going to film a video that says, hey, I just read this book from Tony Robbins, and you know what I just learned was this. Hey, you know, I just read this book from Tim Ferriss, and what I just learned was this. And you just share knowledge from other people who are truly the experts. Because here's what's going to blow your mind. You're going to be shocked how many people have not read the book that you're going to summarize. And my whole career started off with nothing more than what I'm telling you to do, which is just study other experts on subjects you're passionate about that you maybe want to build your personal brand towards if you want to be great at sales, don't come out the gate and be like, I'm the best salesperson. I'm better than Jordan Belfort and Grant Cardone. I'm better than Dan Locke. I'm better than everybody. Here's my content. Instead, say, let me summarize Jordan Belfort's content. Let me summarize this book I just read on this closer's book. Let me summarize, blah, blah, blah. And you just start sharing all the little golden nuggets and values. So think about it. If a book has 17 chapters, there's 17 pieces of content minimum. If a book has 30 chapters, which is more realistic, there's a minimum of 30 pieces of content. Like behind me, I have over, I don't know, close to 1,000 books just on this bookshelf. This is one of my bookshelves. And all of these books I've read, most of them are on sales and marketing and psychology and influence and personal development. And so I probably have like 100,000 pieces of content just behind me in these books. I don't need to know anything. I just need to open up a book. Like right here, I just smashed through this book. The 16-word sales letter. You should get it, Manny. It's a good one. And it's a short read too. It's only like 90 pages. You can easily read it in a day, but go through this and there's easily like 50 little things you could do. If you wanted to be a copywriter and you wanted to start building your personal brand as a copywriter, don't try to come out the gate and be the expert. Be like, and guess what? People who wrote these books are going to love you for giving them free reviews. You say, hey, what's up? My name's Mark Lack, and I just read the 16-word sales letter. And one of the things that it taught me was 3 powerful questions you have to overcome in the mind of your buyer when writing copy. The first question is this, and that means this. And the second question and the third question, hope you enjoyed this tip. I'm going to keep summarizing all different types of books on copywriting. So if you want to follow me for all those tips, Make sure you subscribe. And now your whole brand on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram is you just summarizing other experts' books that ain't nobody ever going to read anyways, because people are just lazy and they don't want to read books.
Right.
So, but what you know what they do want? They want to scroll on Instagram and social media and watch 60-second videos of somebody summarizing the books.
Yeah.
So your whole brand can be built off the back of somebody else's empire, the back of somebody else's New York Times bestseller, the back of somebody's 20-year career. Your whole, because guess what? These people right here, they ain't making Instagram channels doing this. These people call me up and want my consulting, and I tell them, I'm like, why don't you just go and make a whole Instagram and YouTube channel and a whole podcast around your book and the concepts? And they're like, that's really smart. And I'm telling you to do the same thing. Nobody needs another expert. Nobody needs another guru. Nobody needs another New York Times bestseller or anything like that. They need somebody who's going to say, I'm just like you. I'm on the journey, and I'm going to go out and read all the books. I'm going to do all the research, and I'm going to only share with you what works and what's the best. And so that would be my action tip for all of you watching right now, is like, if you're just grassroots getting started, or even if you're at any point in your career, I've even told Manny to do this, just start grabbing books that you want to eventually build your brand on. Because imagine if you do that, if you summarize every copywriting book on the planet for 3 years on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, eventually I'm going to be like, you're the freaking copywriter person.
You're the guy.
And people are going to think you're a genius. And it's like, oh, thanks. I'm a genius. I just summarized every best book on the planet. And they're going to be like, you're amazing. You're so smart. And so that's probably one of my simplest, best tips for you to leave this with, is like, oh, that's how I build my whole brand for the next couple of years right there. And then pivot and change and sprinkle a little bit of your essence in there of who you really are as a person. And people are going to love you for you and actually know you. And they're going to be like, you're also a freaking genius when it comes to blank, all the books you're summarizing, which is so easy. Anybody can do that. So you're a broker, a connector, a facilitator, and a content creator, and start from there.
Well, you just basically threw a hand grenade in at the end there.
I had to leave him. I had to leave him.
That was brilliant, man.
Had to leave him with an action step.
Yeah, that was a hell of an action step. All right, Mark, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.